Hi, everybody. I'm Michael Weiser. I'm the strategic planner for a company called Commuter Cars Corporation. It's based in Spokane, Washington, although I'm speaking to you right now from a suburb of Chicago. And I found out about the Philly Transportation Camp from my connection with Dave Clark, who I met at the Chicago Transportation Camp a couple of years ago. And on LinkedIn, he had posted about the scholarship. And, of course, he put a link to the conference. So I'm very pleased to be here. Thank you, Shannon, to you and the organizers. What a great way to – this is what I think about all day long, every day. So it's just like-minded people. We have a technology that I think is possibly a missing puzzle piece to what a lot of people are looking for in these groups. It's a car, so some people may be hesitant to embrace it, but it's conversations like this that can teach me the most about how I can advocate for this new technology that's in prototype type that currently it's a very successful prototype, but it has so many possibilities to aid current choices for transportation, especially bikes. Because I'll get right into it. The narrower the car, the safer it is for bikes and pedestrians, and frankly for other cars. So that's why I put the topic out, and I'd love to begin the conversation. So I think the best thing to do is open it up. Hopefully everybody will open their mics and their cameras, and then maybe we can just introduce ourselves and sort of. You guys may want to say, well, what did you think when you read the title of this session? So, Will, maybe you could talk if you feel like it.
Yeah, I was just hoping to learn more about how to, I think, understand your work and I think how to make streets better places for all users.
Fantastic. Thanks very much. Let's see. We've got a couple other people, and you don't have to participate, but maybe Kathleen and Kay, Shankari, if you don't want to open up your mics, that's fine. But it's great if you do. And let's see. So we just lost somebody. Okay. Well, anyway, let me go ahead and start then. So what I have here? Oh, you want to?
Sorry, before you go any further, I just wanted. I'm sorry, I neglected to ask. Do you have anything that you wanted to share on your screen, or?
I could a few things.
Yeah. If not, also don't worry about it.
Yeah, I appreciate Jeff saying I didn't have to have it. That made me less hesitant to go ahead and start and have this session. I think if you give me the option, I might be able to do it. Again, I'm on an iPad, so I don't have as easy a way to share information as if it were on a computer. But I can certainly try to share links, and maybe we can watch a video together. That would be a great start, frankly, if I could share a YouTube video. Because that could, yeah, that's awesome.
Let me give you, I'm going to make you a co-host, so you should be able to share things, and then also there's always the chat. You could drop links into that.
Oh, yeah. In fact, I'll go ahead and I'm going to put the intro video in the chat right now, if I can manage that to minimize this window. Let me see. Let's see. I'm a little hesitant to do that just because I don't want to lose being on here. Well, I'm going to try. It's a bit of a risk, but I'll try. All right. You guys can still hear me, right?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, thanks. All I'm doing is I'm going to YouTube and getting the intro video for the Tango thin electric car. I call them thin EVs. The inventor calls them short, narrow track vehicles. But that would give you guys an idea of, what we're talking about here and how they can benefit everybody on the street just by not having to have the passenger side of cars on every car trip. So it's called Tango Intro Video. And I'm just now hopefully will be able to share this
okay. And
into the chat here.
Okay, and then you should have gotten a pop-up asking if you want to become the presenter. Do you see that?
Okay. Yeah, I'm just copying right now the video. I'm going to come back into the phone here. Now I'm going to, was the oh, I saw it. It said accept for a second there.
Yeah.
And then it went away. Let me go ahead and paste this into the chat real quick, hopefully. That would be great if that worked. And it's not letting me paste it in there. Oh, yes, it is. There you go. So, yeah, if you all want to go to the chat, you can take a look now at the at the intro video for the Tango Thin EV, and then that would really help maybe get the conversation going here. We could take a break while you're all watching that, and I'll, again, Chan, maybe if you can send that again, and I can hit accept now that I'm back in the window.
Yes.
Okay, now I can accept it. That's great. Screen, and then I just say start screen broadcast or start broadcast. I'm not sure what I do.
Yeah, just start screen probably.
Screen broadcast, okay. Okay, let's see if I have different options now, because it would kind of be fun to watch it together at the same time. But I don't think I was able to figure out what to do. So that's okay. It's okay.
We can always, if everyone wants, do you know how long the video is?
It's only 2 minutes long. Shannon, maybe you could show it to everybody. That would be awesome.
I'll give it a try. Yeah.
That would be really cool, actually.
For a second. This isn't my preferred meeting platform. I got so used to Zoom that everything's a bit foreign to me now.
Yep. It's tricky because even if we show the video once, then the new people coming in wouldn't see it. But, you know, since we got 7 people here now, hi, Chris, by the way, welcome. Nice to see you there.
Hey, how's it going?
Doing great. Really happy to be here.
I just started tuning into the video. It's pretty interesting to see. I haven't seen this before.
Fantastic. Yeah. Yep. That's terrific. Anybody else? Yeah, I'll let you watch the whole thing there. It's real short. It's really great. So yeah, Arlene and Lewis and Lighty and Kay, you can check the video and see what you think. And then we can kind of start getting a conversation going. So I guess the best thing to do is did you finish watching, Chris? By any chance?
I have 30 seconds left.
Okay, I'll see you.
Okay, I just finished. So I guess one of my first questions on this would be, is this, I would assume this is more so, you know, people living in a city. You know, I personally live in Philadelphia, and something like this seems like it would be super helpful when it comes to parking, because I know, you know, pre-COVID times, like, I have a car in the city, but, like, bringing it into Center City and trying to find a parking spot was, like, you know, you had to plan like a half an hour before you were going to your destination almost to try to find a spot if you were trying to street park versus like a garage or something like that. But I mean, there's also those times I have a bigger car, so I'm always like, I see that parallel spot and I'm like, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this and keep driving around and trying to find a place to park.
100%. Yeah, it's great for parking, clearly, and that's why I titled this presentation trying to compare it to a bike, because, you know, if we think about it, you have a choice to get a side-seated bicycle. They're called quadricycles, but they're just novelties, right? Because you just don't, no one would really choose them if you were asked, what would you choose first? Would you choose a regular bicycle or a side-seated bicycle? No one would say a side-seated bicycle.
Right.
The thing about a motorcycle or a scooter, if you had a choice right up front between getting a motorcycle or a motorcycle with a sidecar, everyone would choose a single-width motorcycle. Well, if we all had our choices for cars, I think it's very logical that there would be no difference between choosing a motorcycle or a bicycle with a car, because there's so many more things you can do with a single width car. You can lane split like a motorcycle. You can go on narrow lanes like you can with bikes. And as you were saying, Chris, you can park in narrow spaces, and that's obviously huge. Now, taking it one step further, knowing the difference between fast, heavy cars and bicycles, one of the greatest things about a thin EV like the Tango is since it's short, you can park it toward the curb, facing the curb, or back in the curb. And what that does is that eliminates bike dooring. It just does. I mean, there is still that transition time when you have to park the car facing the curb like a motorcycle, but you rarely hear about motorcycles hitting bikes as they're passing lanes close to motorcycle parking spots, because the motorcycle is more aware as they're leaving from the park position. They're more aware, especially if they're backed into the space. They're more aware of the bicycles coming by. So dooring would probably be eliminated if we could get cars parked to the curb. So that's yet another huge advantage and huge safety advantage for this type of technology. And so thank you so much for watching it. And that's a great observation right away, you know. And again, just this is a conversation. So Louis, and oh, by the way, Chris, Chris, you said you're from Philadelphia, and do you bike as well, or motorcycle or scooter?
So I do have a car in the city, but it's more so because I'm originally from New Jersey, so it's just to go home, visit family is mainly the reason I have my car. But for me, I'm about a 15-minute walk from Center City, so, you know, I pretty much walk when I can, but, you know, definitely when it comes to winter and, you know, making that trek sometimes, I'm less inclined to go places. So then having, like, an option like that would make things, you know, seem easier, whether it's just run to the grocery store, grab a couple of things, or, you know, run and go pick up food. Like, I think that would be an ideal vehicle to have in the city.
Thanks very much for saying that. And just one other really important caveat to this technology is it is highway capable as well. And so because it's highway capable, that gives it so many different options for super commuters and people who are commuting. In fact, the name of the company is Commuter Cars. So it was conceived as a way to bypass traffic in LA of all places by the guy who invented it. I mean, he conceived it, he invented it, and he started the company. It's a pretty amazing story of how it came to actually be a part of an invention that could be taken to new places and used in different ways. So I hope to also have a talk maybe about how a public transit authority might be able to make use of this technology, sort of like bus rapid transit, except as opposed to everybody getting on a bus and using that lane, maybe there could be sort of like bike share. You could lease or you know, car share for sure. You could definitely share the car and have access to a narrow lane and narrow parking spots, and that way the customers would have that added option of the convenience of having it at home. And it would probably attract suburban people first because they would be able to charge the car easier. It is an electric car. So that's the idea. That's worth discussion, I think. So
should I still share the video? Did everyone get a chance to watch it?
Yeah,
okay.
Please do. Now
all right. Sorry, it took the longest time to load. I have so many things open.
Thank you so much, Janet. While you're getting that ready, and once again, my name is Michael Weiser. I'm the strategic planner for a company called Commuter Cars. It's based in Spokane, Washington, but I'm calling you right now. I'm talking to you from a suburb of Chicago. So, yeah, when you're ready, we can watch the intro again.
Okay. I hit start sharing. Are you guys seeing anything? Okay. Hopefully you're seeing the video.
I'm seeing just the start. It's not, for me, it's not going. But, yeah, you can see.
Yeah, it hasn't started yet. But
I'm not sure if the sounds will play, but does the closed captioning work that you could be able to see in that corner so that people can see like what's being said in the video?
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, okay, and then I'm just going to mute everyone really quickly. It does work. How do I do that again? Hold on. Bear with me.
You're doing great. It's amazing.
Yeah, be calm. Everything's fine. It's worse.
Okay. Hopefully everybody saw it. Can you hear me now, everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes? No?
Yeah.
Awesome.
We can hear you.
I can hear you.
Thank you so much, Shannon.
Yeah. Sorry the volume, I have no idea. But at least everyone could see what it looks like, hopefully.
Yeah, that was really great. Basically, just a quick review of that. The last speaker was the former governor of the state of Washington who visited the manufacturing place of the Commuter Cars headquarters, and she took test rides, and she said basically she could see it as being the biggest car manufacturer in the country because it holds the promise of resolving traffic congestion in an environmentally friendly way. So the prototypes prove that they work, and again, they're like bicycles in that they're the same width as a motorcycle, a little wider than a regular bike, but they give you so many different more options about how to use them since they can operate on a thin lane and park in a thin space. So anybody who had some thoughts, I know Chris kindly shared his thoughts with watching it first, but anybody else, Kathleen or Patty, or any thoughts?
I think it's very nice, but I have to tell you that I like how it said it fits 2 large-sized adults. I'm a super extra large, and so I doubt that it would, quite frankly, fit my hiney, let alone my pocketbook. But I was wondering, Michael, if you could tell me about any of the safety testing data that you've had on the vehicle.
Of course. Well, let me address the sitting in the seat first. Rick, of course, the inventor, would be able to tell you more because he's had thousands of people sitting in it and taking test rides. But I think that if you're comfortable in a car like a Subaru or a Honda Civic or a Tesla, maybe not. Well, certainly a Leaf, a Nissan Leaf. Again, it's just the seat. It's a standard seat that you would have in any other car that you would have. And so there is, in fact, Jay Leno took it and he said that's what people think. There's not enough room in it. But he put both elbows out and he goes, no, there's plenty of room. Fine. So I don't think you would have to worry about that. The next part is safety. It is for highway capability. So that's sort of the key. It's called commuter cars. So the safety right now, it has a roll cage. I don't know if you're familiar with NASCAR, but in NASCAR, all those cars have these cages around them. So it's got that. Now, since there's only 12 prototypes at this point, they haven't been crash tested. But there are interesting possibilities for airbags. It's called side airbags, which deploy after a collision. They don't come into the car necessarily; they go out, and as well as an airbag that would go into the steering wheel. Sadly, we don't have enough money at this point to begin building out the full safety certification, and that's a whole different conversation we can get into. But I hope that we can talk more about that too. But moving forward, Kathleen, any ideas or thoughts?
Yeah. If I'm looking up, I actually test drive one of these in Italy. I don't know if it's no, it wasn't, I'm sorry, it wasn't exactly that, but I'm trying to find the name of it, the one that I drove around in Italy. And just getting back to maybe Patty's question about safety, and I'm sorry, I jumped in a little late. I don't know if you talked about this at all, but I just remember thinking how fragile, I felt. And it was very different from being on a bike, whereas I felt I was more away from the traffic. So even though you definitely feel like it could be potentially dangerous, you're still far enough away from the traffic and you're a separate device unit, and you're not really in there competing with traffic. So, and it definitely felt a little scary. And also, with the high winds where we were, it almost tipped over when I was in. So I don't know. I thought it was, I thought it was fun. I loved it. It was, it was fully electric too. We only had we could only go so far and then you got to recharge it. But, yeah, I don't know really. I mean, even in Italy, there's a lot more of them. So people are used to seeing them and kind of navigating away from them or, driving along with them. And, whereas obviously that would be completely a novelty here. Yeah, as an American, I didn't feel that safe in them. I'm sure the Italians were fine with them. I mean, they drive around their Vespas and their scooters all the time. So, with traffic. But, I don't even, where was, Michael, was this filmed in LA? Where was that video? Is that Washington? Is it Seattle?
Yeah, it's in, that's a great, I think it was Seattle. It might have been Spokane. Again, I'm based in Chicago, so I wasn't there when they put together the video. Mm-hmm. But just to answer, there's only 12 of them, and none of them are in Italy. So this is definitely different than what you test rode. The major difference is it's the way it stays standing up is it's ballasted like a sailboat, and it's ballasted with the batteries. So the batteries have two amazing uses, and they're both critical. So they power the car as well as keeping them stood up. So it's actually 3,200 pounds. So it's very sturdy. Okay. And in fact, I was just talking with the inventor on Friday who was driving from Spokane to California, where he's actually letting his daughter have them for better test rides in California, where it's, you have legal lane splitting. So it's better to have the test rides in California. But anyway, he was going through this terrible wind, and his wife said, "Oh, can you call back, Michael? It's very windy now." And he was in this giant trailer that carries it. And, of course, I waited till he called back, and I said, wow, that was scary, huh? And he said, yeah, it was really scary in the trailer. And I said, well, have you ever had that problem in the Tango? He said, absolutely not.
Okay.
So it's surprisingly sturdy. It's amazing the genius of this. He thought of it because he built these giant sailboats. And then he was stuck in traffic in L.A. one day, and he said, we need narrow cars. But the next step that he thought of immediately was that we need to ballast them with the batteries. And, I had the thought driving in Chicago, the same thing. We need thin cars because everybody's a single occupant. But I didn't come up with the genius part where you ballast it with the batteries. So it's phenomenal. I can't wait till all of us get to test ride them and buy them. Those are wonderful thoughts, Kathleen. Very, very.
Actually, I have a picture if you want to see scale of what I drove in Italy. I don't know how it compares.
Sure.
Can you see?
Yeah. Very similar.
So right over here, look how small that is. This is basically a normal car, super compact car. The one over to my right, and then obviously this is the one that I was driving around. So. I don't know the scale of the device that that you're promoting, but it was very small.
Well, the Tango is really it's seated high, so you do see the road really well. You can see in the back here. Let me get this.
Mm-hmm.
Get back here. So this is. I'll just pick this up. Here we go. This will help you all see it better, I think. So she's seated very high. That's Cindy. That's Rick's daughter, and she's seated high. And again, it's like a bulldog. We were actually talking about different names of the car because we're talking about expanding now. And I thought of calling it the Bulldog, but no. Rick said no. Tango's way better, and of course it's his baby, so it's going to stay the Tango for now. But it's very comfortable, and you would have to experience it, obviously, but I don't think you would be afraid of it at all in the same way you described what you just did when you're in Italy. This car, hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of miles, it's driven on U.S. roads. Rick, I know Rick is very comfortable lane splitting when he has conversations with people like the CHPD, like the police motorcycle groups. All the guys feel very comfortable in it, and clearly it's a lot safer than lane splitting in an open motorcycle. So there's that side of it too. How all the police I do Google searches for police motorcycle accidents frequently, and all these poor motorcycle people who are in these motorcycle groups, they're more susceptible to injury. It's almost, to me, it's almost immediate. You would want to immediately transfer all those police motorcycle folks to these cars, because really the only thing those police motorcycles can do that other cars can't do is lane split. And since you can lane split in these, and are you all familiar with what lane splitting is? That's where you drive between slower traffic. It's obvious that it's way safer to be in these. So, but that's true and here's the other thing. Why do we have lane splitting only for people who are, if you think about lane splitting, it's crazy that they value that extra time so much that they're willing to risk their lives that severely just for that. It's outrageous. But all of the people who are doing it currently would very clearly immediately consider this type of vehicle to drive in right away. And then further, it would attract other people. I compare it to going on a shared ride. Back in the old days, shared rides were called hitchhiking, and everybody was scared of that. And then when Uber made it popular, then other people obviously went to it. Well, the same thing could apply for lane splitting. Right now only Daredevil's lane split, but there's no reason why, I, who would never lane split on a motorcycle, shouldn't be given that option too. And Chris and Kathleen and Patty, we literally beat Google Maps prediction times for long California commutes by over 40%. just by lane splitting. And that just shows you how ridiculous this side-seated design of cars is. It should have never been side-seated cars. We should have always had, it's like faster horse. That's what we really wanted. You know, Henry Ford's famous quote, if people had their choice, they would just want a faster horse. Well, it turns out, Henry, that's what we really want. And you know, you just didn't give it to us. What you gave us was a wagon that's slow because you're blocking possible narrow lanes like bikes and narrow parking spaces to speed up the commuting. So
are they full-size tires?
Yeah, they're full-size tires right now. Now, the cool thing about this, since this is getting even more into the fun part, the tires actually could also contain the motors, believe it or not. There are motors in tires, and you can make the car even thinner, not less safe, but thinner, still weather protected, still road protected, but then get them even thinner so they would be even easier to travel on lane splitting. But as I was saying with Chris, how about instead of suburban bus rapid transit, which was discussed in Chicago for $2.3 billion, by the way, as part of projects of national and regional significance, why not just have a fleet of these cars and then give them access to the same exclusive lanes that you would give a bus? When I polled my neighbors in a local diner what they would prefer when it came to suburban bus rapid transit versus a fleet of these, where they would have they would have privileges for narrow lanes, it was 100%. Everybody would have preferred the car. And why is that? Because it's convenient and it's, and it's private. And so this is available to public transit too. It doesn't have to just be individual people. So it could be a fleet. For $2.3 billion, you could resolve traffic congestion in Philadelphia probably with narrow lanes and a fleet of these kinds of cars. Now that's very simplistic, but it's a possibility. Obviously, I've been thinking about this a long time. But I don't want to completely dominate the conversation. But other things that people say, besides the safety, they also talk about the cost. So anybody have comments or ideas they want to bring up right now? Because I can tell you how that's working right now. Or I could just start talking about it. That's another possible topic. Or let's see what. Well, what if I want to go with a group? Well, you have a seat in the back. I commuted. We took one to NACTO in Seattle, and we gave test rides there. I commuted from the suburbs in the back seat with my briefcase, and Rick the inventor, drove it to the city center every day, and it worked great. I was very comfortable. Of course, I enjoyed all the looking around me and seeing all the people with their eyes. They were shocked and looking at this car. So it's a really fun to just see people smiling while we're pat. Now in Seattle we couldn't lane split, so we didn't have that advantage. But it was okay. They were still really interested. So that's so it has two seats. That's one of the clever parts of the name Tango. It takes two.
Well, so what is the cost? What is the cost range?
There you go. This is the fun part to talk about, because there's a video out there right now which is very popular. There's a video which we could watch, but that's okay. You guys can search for it in YouTube. It's called Ridiculous Rides Tango. And it's true. Hand building these cars right now costs $420,000. So obviously no one's going to pay that for this car, because it's, although it's unique, there's no other highway capable lane splitting vehicle that's road and weather protected right now in the world. Although that's the case, no one's going to pay $420,000 for it. But that's because they're hand built, and we're not a public company, and we don't have a lot of private investors. However, with these things called SPACs, it's possible that we could go public relatively quickly, because they're very popular for electric cars. And you may be familiar with this, the SPAC. Anybody heard of that type of financial instrument? It's a way for a private company to transfer from going private to public. And let's see, Lucid electric cars has done it without a prototype, and other electric car companies have done it too. So that's an option that we're investigating right now. And the goal is, of course, so that you don't have to buy a car like this for $400,000. You can buy it for, eventually $25,000 or even lower, $15,000. And since they're electric, you would get the $7,500 federal credit. So there are just so many options available. It's, in these challenging times for public transit, where getting people to share rides in buses and trains is difficult, this is another option that really you don't have to build out the infrastructure because the lane width is already there. So there's the wordy answer to that. See if we can get anything else going about the conversation here.
I had a quick question in terms of, just electric cars. How often do you have to charge it, and how long does it get you? How long does a charge, last for?
Great questions. Well, I have a Nissan Leaf, so I was able to get it, of all things, half price. That's not really answering your question, but because there is that's another topic. How long does it take to charge? Well, you have 3 different options right now. You've got level 1, level 2, and level 3. Now, if you bought a Tesla or a Nissan Leaf, you could plug it into your existing wall unit. So there's a huge advantage for electric cars with people who have garages, no question. So the first people who are going to buy electric cars probably own their single unit homes, and they probably have a garage. So you have so many different options. You can just plug it in to the wall, and it would take overnight to charge it for about 200 miles. The next option would be what's called a level 2 charger. After 5 years of having just plugging into the wall, for me, my family, we finally got a level 2 charger. It cost about, I didn't really shop around, and I could have done it myself, and it would probably cost around $750 to put in to install it into our garage, but it cost about $1,500 to have another group put it in. But that charges it much quicker. So you can get a full charge for that 200 miles probably in about 3 hours. Now again, when you have your own home and you're commuting, even that's why I was able to do it for 5 years. I was just able to plug it in when I got home, and then I knew that overnight, as long as the power was going on, that in the morning I would have a full charge. So it's really the speed. It's a difference. It's not like driving to the gas station and loading up. And it also depends on how you drive. So the faster you drive, the quicker the charge goes away. And if the colder it is, the quicker the charge goes away. So that's kind of like the general thing. Now, there's a level 3 charger as well, which are the super fast chargers. You've probably seen Tesla's super fast chargers in parking lots at maybe at large shopping centers. They might have put in the Tesla supercharging. Turns out you have that for other kinds of cars, like in my Leaf, I'm able to supercharge it as well, and it takes only 30 minutes to fully charge from practically zero. So you have options. It's very unusual to install a supercharger though in a garage, in a home garage. Very, very hardly anyone has done that yet. So there's some other options about that. But maybe my question to you is, if you were, Chris, what's your role at as far as transportation? Are you
So I work for Gannett Fleming in Philadelphia, and I'm part of our transportation operations group. So we do a lot of ITS design, cameras, DMS signs, get involved with a little bit of tolling as well. So that's sort of my area of specialty.
Right. Yeah. Well, I guess I'm trying to connect it. I guess since you're doing some camera stuff, another topic that comes up about these cars or any cars is pricing, is road pricing and tolling. And So another advantage too, or an attraction for these kinds of cars, and I think most groups would agree, although Robin Chase, I talked to her on Twitter sometimes, she's not as gung-ho about it as I am, but to avoid, let's say, VMT goes through eventually, I think people would be attracted to a better rate if they were in motorcycles or thin EVs, and that would help promote them and get people more interested in them that way too. And of course, there are benefits to the environment being. I'm not so sure in Philadelphia as much. How is renewable energy in Philly these days? Is it pretty? Is it getting going for solar?
I'd say it's up and coming. I wouldn't say it's something that's really prevalent in the city right now.
Yeah, and that's sort of an additional advantage of it. It's really great if there is a plentiful renewable energy available for any electric car. But the advantage to this, of course, is the people in Philly who have super commutes, and they're able to, if some organization thinks, oh, okay, we can have, like we have thin bike lanes for bikes, if we can just produce thin lanes, either HOV access or thin lanes for motorcycles and thin EVs, that will alleviate traffic congestion at the same time as getting them faster to their jobs, which will obviously attract people to the new technology as well. So it's the benefit of the federal tax advantage. Maybe tolling costs less, the saved time. There's so many advantages. Again, you go back to the bike. Why would I ever want to buy a quadricycle if I'm just commuting it? It's that kind of stuff. If you had the choice of a single width car versus a double width car, almost everybody's first car would be a single width car. It's just like they would choose a single width bicycle. But it's just that's why I love sharing this information to transportation people, because you get it so quick. It's funny, and it's a lot of fun too. So those are some things. I don't want to dominate the conversation, and if you feel like you want to go, that's totally understandable. But I can talk about it more. I certainly know the history of the car. Again, it was the guy Rick Woodbury who was driving. He built the sailboat. He was commuting in L.A., stuck in traffic, looked around, saw the single occupants, said we need narrow cars, said we need to ballast it like a sailboat. His wife said, you got to sell the sailboat because it's too big and too scary. So he said, okay, if I sell it, can I start working on the narrow car? And she said, yes. And that's how it became an actual invention. He and his son built them, and they were eventually they were gonna start by building them with hydrogen fuel. And but their first prototype had lead acid batteries, and the lead acid batteries worked great. I mean, he started, as he says, he would race them on drag strips and motocrosses where you have to do heavy, quick turns, really sharp turns, and it would never fall over. It's because of the ballast. So he said, well, we don't have to worry about hydrogen now because the batteries work. He showed them to people like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Richard Branson. The first customer was actually George Clooney. The owners of Google have them. They had them, and people loved them. And so for a while there, it was Tango versus Tesla, believe it or not. It really was. And then Elon, when he became part of Tesla, he had all his money that could back up Tesla. And that's when and of course, he's a great, manager of work product. And even though, somewhat questionable, but people usually love working at Tesla. But that's his skill. But in retrospect, what would really be better for society? Really Teslas? I mean, you've probably seen those things where they show traffic congestion in electric cars, traffic congestion in a gas car, and it's the same. You see the people standing there, and you see the 50 cars back, and then they put people in a bus, and then you see the same amount of people are moved in the bus. But the advantage of this is clearly, like a motorcycle, you get a lot more people through the traffic, more than double, it turns out. So again, just incredible benefits to just getting rid of that side seat of the car. It's a very simple concept.
Yeah.
So,
I'll just add that we have about 3 minutes until the Birds of a Feather lunch starts, and I certainly don't want to cut off conversation, but just to let everyone know that that's coming up.
well, I just want to thank you again, Shannon, and thank you, Chris, for the comments. It's always a pleasure to share this information, and I look forward to connecting with any and all. I think Kathleen already connected to me on LinkedIn. Please do. Michael Weiser on LinkedIn, Weiser, and it's a strategic planner for commuter cars. There's a picture of me spinning a ball because I'm also a juggler. So I got this little ball, and I'm spinning on my finger. So it's a weird, in fact, that's part of the reason it's a hard trick, but it's a little hard because I'm not warmed up. But that's sort of how I got into this, because I was going from gig to gig, and it was just murderous, going through traffic, because sometimes I'd have to go to the opposite direction from suburban Chicago down to the east, right near the lake. And it's like, why are we all driving these wide cars? And it's not the big cars, it's the wide cars. And so that's why I've turned this into another one of my interests and passions.
Thank you so much. It was nice to meet you, Michael.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, thanks, Michael.
Thanks so much, Shannon, for putting the video up there. That was great.
Thank you.
All right, you guys. We'll see you in the lunch and the other sessions.
All right, bye, everyone.
Bye.